Hey, I'm back in the arcade today with a really cool project. I'm going to start on the Bally Radical, and I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride. So when this game was first made back in 1990, the first about 100 machines or so had an extra ramp that was installed in this game. And they pulled it out at some point in the production, and maybe that was for cost reasons, I don't know, but some people will put that ramp back in, and that is what we are going to do today. So you can see back here where you have these three snake run drop targets. When you hit these drop targets now, let me get a light back here so we can see a little better. When you hit those drop targets, that ball will go around the corner of the snake run and it'll hit a stand-up target that's pretty hard to see. You can probably see it right there. Yeah, right there. You see that red stand-up target that's back there? It's right here, right there. And the ball will hit that, and it'll score a snake run award for you, and the ball comes right back. You know, it bounces back and comes right back out of that snake run. But that is not the way the game was initially made. There's a hole back there, actually. You can't see it because the flasher is sitting in the way. Maybe you can see that dark round circle. Behind that stand-up target, there's a hole. And that ball was supposed to drop into that hole and go through a subway over here. And there was a vertical upkick installed on the bottom of the playfield here in the back corner. And that vertical upkick would kick the ball up, and it would come up through a wire form habit trail, and this ramp here was cut out. There was a notch cut in this ramp, and that wire form would kick the ball up here and drop it onto this ramp, and then you're up here on the X ramp, you know. So when you are at certain points of the game, when you're trying to get skate or die or something like that, and you're trying to get to that upper ramp, shooting the snake run should send you up there. But they removed that function of the game. And, you know, I was aware of this when I first bought this machine. And recently I decided I was going to add that functionality back in. So I ordered some parts from around the internet. I ordered a wire form for a demolition man, and I ordered a gumball popper for a Twilight Zone, and a couple other things. And I've got some old ramps back there, and we are going to do this. The one thing I did not know was exactly where this hole needs to be drilled, and thankfully a pin sighter came through and got the measurements for us. So we are set. So the first thing I need to do is I need to pull this, well, I'll go back and show you the parts I got quick, and you can see what we're looking at. So here we are, and let me get the light situated here. So this is the wire form I was just talking about. This is from a demolition man, and I got this from a chap up in the UK, from ebay.uk, and just got that today. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It's got a little bit of slight corrosion, but nothing a piece of Scotch-Brite won't handle. And this is our gumball popper for a Twilight Zone. So this is going to mount on the bottom of the playfield like that. And of course we got our little ball cup thing here with the roll pin. I removed that so that I've already installed this this coil in place, but a brand new rubber grommet. And what else do we need? Well, we need a subway on the bottom. And for this, I'm going to use this old section of an Earthshaker ramp I have here. I hope I can make a piece. Maybe I'll end up using this part here, cut some of this away. I'm not quite sure. I'll get the playfield up and I'll see what fits. It only needs to be about that long, probably about 12 inches long, roughly, about 25 centimeters. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And the wiring is all still there, but I'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to wire it when I get the playfield up and we start digging into this. All right, hopefully the hardest part of the whole thing is done. That was lifting the playfield out of the machine. Anyway, so here we are on the bottom side, and this is the back left-hand side of the playfield as you're looking at it when it's in the machine. And you see here that this is the existing hole that is in the playfield that has that stand-up target installed. The stand-up target will be removed, and then we're actually going to install a little micro switch in the subway that the ball will hit, and it'll do the same thing as scoring that stand-up target. And then here's a flasher that I'll have to repurpose somewhere else. I'm not sure what I'll do with that. And then the subway will go across here to this point. And you can see I've marked it because these holes are already here. These two existing holes are the locating holes for where the VUK used to be installed. And they just never cut the big hole into the playfield. So this big hole is 1 3/4 inches, which I'll pre-drill a small pilot hole, and then I'll use a Forstner bit from either side. I'll go about halfway through the bottom side, halfway through the top side, so that there's no breakout of wood on either side. And then there was a pin sider who helped me out with the dimensions that a buddy of his actually has a new old stock playfield with this hole in, already cut. And the dimensions he gave me match up with what I marked here. So basically, since these locating holes were already here, I just transcribed or, scribed a line in between the two and marked where 1 3/4 inch hole should be. And then the actual VUK that I have here is slightly different from what was stock. This is pictures on Pinside of what this looks like. So you can see here's the same habit trail that I have. This is the one for Demo Man. And then here's the vertical upkick installed on the bottom. You can see that it's actually the vertical upkick from like an F14, the one that I already have, with this other metal piece installed here. And I could not find this. I can't find anywhere online where you can buy that. So instead, I'm going with this, which is the same as what a Twilight Zone uses for its gumball machine. And it's a very similar purpose. You've got a subway that leads in here and the ball popper fires the ball up. So the only difference is the locating holes that are on the bottom of this Twilight Zone ball popper don't exactly match the locating holes that are here, but it'll be close enough. So this thing's going to mount roughly about there, like that. I think. I can't remember if it's that way or the other way around. It could be this way. And it'll mount there after I drill a hole, and then we'll get the subway in. And the one thing I don't know is whether I need to drill this hole, cut this hole larger. I hope not. Actually, I don't think so. I have a ball here, and I think a ball will fit through that hole. Yeah. A pinball is, I think, 1 1/16. And let me measure this. Where's my scale here? Measure this hole. It looks to me like it'll be large enough. Let's see if I can measure this. So it looks to be about 1 3/8. So yeah, it'll fit through that hole. And I can't remember if on the top side it has a slight chamfer to it or anything, but anyway, yeah, it'll serve its purpose. It'll fall right in there, and then we'll mount the subway. So, all right, the next thing to do is we're going to go ahead and pre-drill the pilot hole, and I've got to remove this ramp, and we'll bite the bullet and go ahead and drill the big hole. All righty, here we go. And we got our small drill bit here. We're going to go all the way through, and then we'll know where to go from the other side. There we go. Oh. So it's pretty close. It's a little bit off, but it won't matter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drill that halfway through from this side using that Forstner bit. So far so good. Maybe we're gonna vacuum in this thing. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do it when I'm done. Okay, it's about halfway. So let me clean up the mess here and then we'll spin the playfield around. All right, well, now we got to get the ramp off. And this ramp is held on just by 2 screws here on the flap, one here and one here. So it's pretty easy. And I recommend, if you ever have to work on this thing, you know, getting underneath of this ramp when it's in the machine is impossible. I had one time where this hardware came loose here on this thing, and it's a real nightmare to try to get it. You almost have to take the playfield out of the machine just to access the bottom, just because of how the playfield rotates. You can never get to the bottom of that thing. So, get this pulled off here. I guess I've had this machine now for 3 years almost, about 2.5 years, and it's been pretty reliable. Can't think of really any problems that I've had with it. The playfields are, you know, not the greatest. The artwork tends to get worn out. I don't think they had Mylar in a couple little places when they were first made, but mine has a Mylar here over the back area, and I've clear coated the rest of it. Okay, so let's see here. I don't quite remember. We got wires here for the flasher. Need to get that off. Another wire for the other flasher here. Gotta get that off. And there's wires here for the switch. Yeah. You see that one. And another flasher. Is that it? No, that's a different flasher. It's not that one. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here we go. And the wiring underneath this playfield is not the easiest. Man, am I gonna have to take this plate off the back? Dang on it. I think I maybe get it out. Yeah, okay, I can get it out. Okay, I think I'm just gonna rotate it there and not remove it completely. I don't think I need to. Why I'm doing this, I'm about to make a huge mess in here anyway. But all right, the point of no return. So there's our guide hole right there, and yeah, it looks good. Let me compare it once more before I do this to the photograph here. There's a picture I have right here of, it's not the greatest, but let me see if I can zoom in at all. Can I zoom in? No, I can't. Where'd the picture go? There. Zoom. View. No, I guess not. Okay, anyway, well, we can see that it is right between those two holes, and you know, to me it looks like maybe it's about 3/8 of an inch from the blue. So let's take our, let me sit you back up here. And, you know, if I was to use a compass and mark this out, yeah, it looks to be about that, about 3/4 or about 3/8 of an inch from the edge. So, alrighty, let's do it. Enough talking. Let's start drilling. All right, this is all the way through. Whew. All right, let me get my vacuum and clean this up, and I'll be right back. All right, we got the hole drilled and got it all cleaned up, and yeah, it looks good. It looks to be pretty spot on. So here's the wire form I got for that demo man, and I cleaned it up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite. I thought initially that this wire post would go through that guide hole. The guide hole is not quite large enough, and also if I do that, it doesn't appear that this is centered on the hole anymore. So I think I'm going to take a Dremel tool and cut that off, because it has these two mounting points here for screws. So I believe I'm just going to fasten it that way. It would be nice if I could use that guy. I mean, I guess I could bend this to try to get a little bit more. It needs to shift this way some. I'm not sure. I got to think about that, because I'm looking straight down on it, and it looks like it has to shift at least 1/4 inch to 3/8 over. And I don't know exactly how the thing needs to be rotated either. See if I can get the camera positioned a little bit better here. The ramp is kind of up out of the way right now, but if I do mount it there, I don't know exactly, what's the camera want to do here? I don't know exactly where this thing needs to be rotated. So I think the best thing to do is to cut that off, and then I can actually put it down flush on the play field like that. And then this thing will be rotated to wherever it needs to be, and then fastened down there. And using 2 long screws, probably all the way through with machine screws with washers and self-locking nuts on the other side is probably the way I'm going to go here. I'm not going to use wood screws, because I want this thing to be really tight in there and not move around at all. All right, well, the next thing to do is to figure out how to cut this ramp. And the problem is, maybe you can already tell, is the flasher here is probably going to be in the way. I'm not quite sure. I've got this thing lined up where the screw holes go, and I may have to move that. I'm going to mark this. Yeah, I think this flasher probably needs to be shifted down a little bit, but that's going to be a problem. I hope we don't see this hole here. All right, well, I should have recorded before I put the ramp on, but I just got it in there and mounted. I had to drill the holes out a little bit larger here for some 632 screws and self-locking nuts. And I got that thing positioned where it seems like it works quite well. I shot the ball up here with my finger, and it popped right onto the ramp and went around. So far so good. this ramp is like perfect because it does not touch the plastic ramp. It just kind of sits above it. And I didn't move this flasher. I actually just cut one of the legs of it off and moved it that way a little bit. The flasher is actually still in the exact same place. I just kind of rotated this lens a little bit and cut one of the legs off to, so that's how it is. And now I get to flip the thing over and work on the bottom. Alrighty, so we are on the bottom side, and I have pulled away the stand-up target and the flasher to expose what we got going on here. And I kind of jumped ahead, and I already started hacking away at one of my ramps. This is one of my old ramps from Earthshaker, and I cut a piece of the straight section. I cut one that already had the bracket here for the switch because I'm definitely going to need that. And I'm thinking about putting it in kind of like this. Kind of like there. Yeah, I mean, the only problem with this is that normally I think the switch, it would be flipped around where the switch blade would be over here, but I think it probably will still work. One thing I don't know about is whether this, to me it looks like this ramp goes uphill. So I don't know if I need to put some sort of angle to it. When I looked online at other people's setups, they all look pretty much flat and flush to the bottom of the playfield. But when you think about this, the ball falls down the hole here and then goes up. So how does that work? I don't know. But that's where the holes be, so I don't know what else you could do. I mean, this is an upward angle here. Unless I'm looking at this thing wrong. But anyway, so I think that's going to go about there. And then my popper assembly is going to go like you know, kind of like that. And, you know, I'll have to trim out a little bit more of the plastic here. And then, of course, a round hole will have to be cut in this ramp right in the center where that ball popper cup is, so that the ball can fall into the cup. Alrighty, so the switch is done and wired up. You got the banded side of the diode going to the back side of the switch, the white wires to the unbanded side, and then the green in the center. So like the rest of the switches in the game, you should have continuity between these 2 points when the switch is down, and then you should have continuity between these 2 points when the switch is up, between the green and the white when the switch is set, and then continuity here when the switch is not set. All right, take two. A little bit of redesign here. 3D printed some spacers so that this ramp actually has a bit of a slope downward to it. Even though it's going up the playfield, it should have enough of a downward slope that it rolls towards the ball popper. And yeah, made a different kind of metal ball stop here. And you know, when the thing is sitting in the playfield, then this cup will be sitting down like that, and the ball will fall into it, and then hopefully there's enough power with this coil that it fires it all the way up there. Yeah, that's the concern. But all right, I'm ready to flip it back over, put it on the test rig, and try it out. All right, here we go. So I'll roll it up into the hole, and boom, there it goes. Perfect. So that's what you got to do. You got to put a downward slope onto that, and you cannot use the same bracket that you use on like an F14. It's got to be the longer one, like the Twilight Zone has. And yeah, gives a perfect amount of space, and now that thing should pop right up. So I am actually ready to put this back in the machine, folks. All right, let's go do it. All right, well, we're in business. About ready to throw it back in the cabinet here. I had to remove this whole X-ramp assembly and install a metal diverter here. I don't know if you can see that. That diverter will make sure that the ball goes down the hole and doesn't actually hit the back side of the pop bumper and bounce around. So that is the situation. So yeah, everything looks good, and let's throw it back in there. In there. Man, that's terrible. It'd be much easier with the second person with the machine pulled out. Well, I'm glad this cabinet hasn't been like newly repainted, or I'd be really upset right now. But I don't think I broke anything. One last thing I forgot to mention was about the wiring. So the new coil for the popper is actually daisy chained to the 3-bank drop target assembly for the snake run. So this 3-bank drop target coil right here has a brown wire on one side and a yellow wire daisy chained on the other side. And that yellow wire carries I think it's roughly like 50 volts or something, I can't remember. But you're just going to daisy chain that yellow wire over to one terminal of the coil and the brown wire over to the other terminal of the coil. And when that 3-bank drop target coil fires, this new popper coil will also fire. So that's where the wiring goes. I forgot to talk about that in the, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Initially, I had a concern that maybe that might cause the fuse to blow since you have two coils operating under the same circuit, but so far so good. It doesn't appear to have any impact on the machine. Alrighty, I think we are ready to turn it on for the first time, and hopefully we don't get any magic smoke or other calamities. So here goes. All right, so far so good. I guess we'll do a solenoid test, huh? Probably the best thing to do now, and see how that solenoid back there sounds when it fires. So why don't we go ahead and put a ball in the back here. All right, I heard it go over. It should be sitting on that ball popper. And let's go back out and we'll do another solenoid test. All right, so interestingly, it says pinball missing. So I guess it doesn't know to fire that thing. But I think when you start a game, the first thing it'll do is it'll fire that, or it should reset those drop targets when you start a game. I don't know, we'll have to look at that. Hang on, let me. Okay, sound, lamps, coil test. Here we go. Out hole, flasher ball lock, trough, flasher left ramp, not used, flasher left flipper. Oh, there we go. Nice. It works. Just like that. All right, here we go. We're going to give it a try. So sometimes the ball will end up coming right down into the pop bumpers, and sometimes get it up there in there. Kind of hard to. There we go. Yeah, so sometimes it'll come down the ramp. Sometimes it comes off the ramp, so. All right, let's try it again. Scored the snake. There it goes. And it comes down. Nice. So it reset the drop targets, and now you can do it again. Hit the snake run. That time it dropped right into. So there's a little bit of randomness to it, and that's pretty cool. Okay, reset the drop targets. Hit the snake run. Yeah. So it just depends. Sometimes it ends up in the pop bumpers, and sometimes it ends up in the ramp there. So very, very, very cool. All right. Well, I'm going to reset this thing, and yeah. So pretty awesome. That was a lot of fun. A little bit of a challenge, you know, getting things to line up properly, and you know, again, that angle on that ramp is really important. And I'll have to keep playing with it. Once I saw where the ball fell down and it didn't roll over, so I might have to adjust that deflector just a little bit more to give it a little bit more of an initial push to the left side. But overall, terrific upgrade. I would definitely do that to your machine. It looks like it belongs there because it does. So awesome. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and please like and subscribe to give me the support that I need to keep this channel going. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time. Take it easy.